Ever seen those cool, trippy, animated battle backgrounds in old school games like EarthBound and thought, how on earth did they make that? Today we're jumping straight into how to bring one of these effects to life in Phaser 3, and the effect we'll be implementing is palette cycling, and we'll be doing this by using WebGL shaders. In our last video, we broke down how palette cycling works using raw WebGL shaders, how a grayscale map, a tiny palette texture, and a bit of GLSL magic come together to create these cool animated retro effects. If you missed it, check out that first video, the link's in the description, because today we're jumping straight into how to bring this effect to life in Phaser 3. If you'd like to follow along, there are links to the starting code in the description. Download the code now and fire up your IDE to follow along. Phaser 3 makes it easy to integrate custom shaders using its pipeline system, which lets us apply our palette cycling shader as a post-processing effect or as a custom pipeline on our sprite. If you download and launch the starting project template, you should see the following. Please see the README for details on how to set up and run the project. In the example scene, we have a few game objects. This main image here, this is going to be our image game object that we're going to apply our shader to. Right now, this image game object is set up, so we just render out our base texture that we load into Phaser. The tile sprite game object up above, this shows the palette image game object that we've loaded and that we will apply to this texture once we add in our shader code. The animated effect here is going to show how we're going to use that static image and then shift our colors from our array that we load in to get that animated effect. To create our custom shader, first we need to load in our textures that we'll be using in our shader. This will be our grayscale images that will act as our index map for our palette strip textures that we'll be using to paint onto our texture. In our project, our loading scene is already set up to load in all the assets we'll be using. After we load in the assets we then need to create a custom pipeline to run our palette cycling shader. Our example project is already set up with this new pipeline. However, in our custom pipeline, all our fragment shader is doing for the time being, we're just rendering out the original pixel color. So now our palette cycling scene, this is our main Phaser scene that's going to tie everything together. Right now, our scene is set up to do the following. First, we add our custom pipeline to our Phaser renderer, that way we can apply it to our game object. After we add our pipeline to our renderer, we then create an image game object and we render it out here. And for our texture, this is just one of our grayscale images that we previously loaded. For our game object, we then apply our custom shader to it by adding in our post pipeline. For the rest of the code in our scene, this is just tied to creating our tweak pane integration here. Our tweak pane integration allows us to modify our textures that's being applied to our game objects, and then we'll also modify which palette we'll use when we go to paint our game object here. For our custom pipeline, right now our shader is set up with these custom variables, which allows us to keep track of how much time has passed in our game and control how fast our animation effect will be once we add in our shader code. And then our uniform for our UPalette sampler, this is how we specify which channel we want to bind our additional texture to. Now, to implement our palette cycling effect, let's come to our shader. So inside our main function, first we need to get our color index from our grayscale image. So we're going to do float, let's do index, we'll set it equal to our main color that we're sampling from our initial texture. And since our texture is just gray, we can just use our red channel. Next, we need to calculate our animated index, which is how we'll choose one of our pixels from our palette that we provide. So we're going to do float, we're going to call this animated index, we're going to set it equal to our index, we want to multiply it by our palette width uniform, and then we want to add in our offset based on how much time has passed. So this will be our U time uniform, and then we want to multiply it by our cycle speed uniform. So our U palette width uniform, this is going to be the width of our palette texture that we provide. In our current example, this is 256 pixels. And so when we grab our grayscale index, that'll be a number between 0 and 1. By multiplying our palette width by that value, we're going to end up with a position between 0 and 256. Now, based on that position, that would be the color we're going to render out. But to create our animated effect, we need to add in our offset based on how much time has passed. So our U time uniform, this is how much time has passed in our game loop, and our cycle speed is how fast we want that animation effect to be. So now that we're adding that offset, we need to make sure our resulting value still falls in the range between 0 and 256. To do that, we'll make a new float. We'll call this wrapped index. And for that, we'll just do our mod function. We're going to take our animated index, and then we'll pass in our palette width. Now that we have our wrapped index, we just need to normalize that value so we're back within our 0 to 1 range. So We'll do a new float. For this float, we'll call it palette coordinate. We're going to set it equal to our wrapped index, and we're going to divide it by our palette width. Now, based on that coordinate, we can get our final color from our palette that we provided. So we're going to do a vector 4. We're going to call this final color. We're going to set it equal to our texture 2D. So now we need to provide our texture. We're going to grab our color from. So this will be our U palette sampler. Now for our position, we want to do a vector 2. And now we're going to use our palette coordinate. So this will give us our X value. And for our Y value, we just want this to be centered within our image. To get that value, we'll use 0.5. Now that we have our final color, we can just render this out. So let's grab this line of code. We're going to paste it. So now for our vector 4, instead of doing our main color, let's do our final color. And we'll do 1 for our alpha. So now if we save, we'll see right away our shader is being applied to our whole phaser scene. So what's happening is when you use a post-FX pipeline in Phaser, our UMain sampler, our texture that's provided to our fragment shader, this is going to be our texture of our whole scene. Even though we're applying this pipeline just to our game object, we're receiving the coordinates of our whole scene here. To address this, we need to add in some filter logic, so we'll discard any pixels that are not tied to our current game object. And so an easy way to do this is after we grab our main color, we can check our alpha value, and if our alpha value is equal to 0, then we know that particular pixel is not being rendered out for our game object. Then what we can do is we can use discard to tell the shader to stop processing and throw this pixel away, which will leave that pixel's initial color in place. So now once we add in that code, we'll see right away our shader is now only being applied to our texture that we provided here. And just like that, you've recreated that classic retro palette cycling effect inside Phaser 3, running smoothly and ready for use in your own games. If you want to dive deeper into the shader itself, be sure to watch that first video in the series. The link's right below. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment if you have any other shader ideas or effects you'd like me to cover next. And if you want to support the channel and help me keep making these tutorials, I've got a Ko-fi page. The link's in the description, and every coffee helps. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the rest of the series and other Phaser tutorials. See you in the next video.